too long ago, and now we're on the gravel road. We are approaching the Sand Lake access gate for Algonquin Park.
Achray Campground is located on the eastern end of Algonquin Provincial Park and is just shy of a 3-hour drive from Ottawa. The campsites are on the northeastern shores of Grand Lake. Because we arrived a few hours before we could check into our site, my wife and I decided to get our kayaks straight into the lake and do some exploring. We headed across Grand Lake to Carcaju Bay, where there's a short and easy 30-meter portage, and then a short paddle to Carcaju Falls.
There. Hi. You can see me. We're here at Algonquin Park. We've just set into Grand Lake. The dragonflies are already out here protecting us. Thank you, dragonflies. We are forever grateful for your help.
Grand Lake is nearly 12 kilometers long and gets as wide as 3.2 kilometers. Crossing a large body of water fills me with both fear and excitement. Fear in the unknown of whether the wind will pick up and the water will get rough when you're in the middle of it, but with the excitement of knowing that you're capable of facing that challenge. At the southern end of this lake, we entered a narrow channel that connected us to Carcaju Bay. Rocky cliffs jutted out every so often and presented lots of photo opportunities. DW carried her mirrorless camera in a hard, watertight case. I kept my DSLR in a dry bag on my lap. We could easily access these cameras whenever the beauty of the landscape begged to be captured, which happened around every corner. Eventually, we made it to our portage point that would get us to the large pond between Carcaju Bay and the falls. Setting out again, it was about another 100 meters to the falls. Carcaju Falls, which flows from Lower Spectacle Lake, spill out from 2 points due to a small island at the crest of the falls. The water tumbles over low terraces rather than a high single cliff. We were able to get close to the falls without fear of it hitting the deck of our crafts. We took lots of stills, then crossed to the opposite shore from the wider falls for lunch, and then paddled to a portage point where we could hike to where we could see the falls spill from up top. We're gonna head back. This is beautiful. When we reached the portage point that would take us back to Carcaju Bay, we decided to scope out the rapids to see if we could negotiate them instead of carrying our kayaks over land. I said I'd never go camping again. And yet, here we are.
Hey, so here we are. Again, this is Achray Campground. We are on campsite number 27. This is part of the park that is the dog-free zone. The other half of the park is dog-friendly. But this is quite a nice beach. There's I don't know if it's a supervised area, but it's an area cleared out and marked for swimming. The trees here are beautiful. It's all sandy along here. It's just gorgeous. Earlier today, when we finished our kayak adventure, I managed to pull up like within one sight of where we are. So this literally is our site. So we just pulled the kayaks up here at the base of a tree, and then we just set up camp. Didn't take very long. It took us about half an hour, and it's been a while since I've set up the big tent. We have the screen house for our bug-free dining. There are, this is end of June, so there are a lot of bugs, a lot of mosquitoes, and of course the deer flies and the horse flies are out at this time of year. Ross is having a siesta. We're gonna go see him. We can see him. There he is. I think we'll have a fire later. And you can see, you're fairly close to your neighbors, but they're not right on top of you. I don't see anybody beside us here, which is surprising. They might come a little later. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little tour around and let you see what the campsites look like here on a
After dinner, the wind died down and Grand Lake became as clear as glass. With the sun falling toward the horizon, we decided that a sunset paddle was in order. It's absolutely peaceful on the water. Earlier today there was quite a wind, which made this lake quite choppy. Listen to the silence. Sitting on the water with nothing but the sound of songbirds can be some of the best relaxation therapy there is. We'd often stop paddling, opting to gently drift and absorb the calmness around us. Of course, the sound of humans is the noisiest thing around. Surprisingly, the bugs haven't bothered me at all. I think that's going to change as soon as I get ashore. As the sunset came upon us, we knew we had to make our way to shore, but I was reluctant to abandon the stillness and beauty that marked the end of a perfect day. If tomorrow brought these emotions, it would be worth the night in a tent. Our next adventure was going to take us across 2 more lakes to reach another waterfall, High Falls. We would once again cross Grand Lake, but rather than re-enter Carcaju Bay, we'd head down another channel that connected Grand Lake to Stratton Lake, where we would paddle the entire length to a 90-meter portage, which would bring us to St. Andrews Lake. We would then turn northwards and paddle the length of St. Andrews, where we would then hike the 550-meter portage without our kayaks to High Falls. It's day 2, and we're gonna go do a bit of portaging, some falls, hit another lake, see what's out there. The channel that connects Grand Lake to Stratton Lake involves a very short portage of about 10 meters to avoid a small water hazard. You know you've reached Stratton Lake when you pass under an abandoned railway bridge. I wonder if this disused railway line was now part of the Trans-Canada Trail. If you know, please leave a comment. The wind was light to non-existent on Stratton Lake, giving us the glass-like surface that we saw last night on Grand Lake. The eastward paddle was straight and light. We stuck to the southern shore and turned down another connecting channel, which took us to our next portage point. We saw a couple in a canoe who were deciding whether they could traverse the small set of rapids, but at this time of year, the water was too low and would have likely damaged their craft. Looks just a little too shallow, eh? Yeah, oh yeah. In recording this portage, I was originally thinking that I would only show you pieces of the 90-meter trek, but because the terrain is so easily manageable, I only cut out the bits where we paused to readjust our grip on the kayak or where I nearly tripped through my own clumsiness. You can see how easy this path is to traverse. St. Andrews Lake was about a third of the length of Stratton, and though the wind picked up, it was an easy paddle to our next point. have a 550 meter portage. We're going to leave our kayaks here and just walk it.
Lunch companion. We have stopped by, oh my gosh, you're shaking, you're so scared, and yet you'll come running right up to us here. Literally, this is like sitting right beside me. I don't have anything for you. Oh! Yeah.
Back at the kayaks, we're turning around, heading back to Grand Lake. Back to our camp. Hopefully we get there in enough time to tear down camp and head home. You're dead! Deer flies aside, the day was a success. Our return trek to the campground was uneventful, and we returned home knowing that someday we'd return again. Yes, even to camp. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and please subscribe. From Achray, this is The Brown Noser.